mga pananaw at opinyon ng pag-uulat ng mag-uulat sa programang ito ay hindi ang pangunahing posisyon o pahayag ng pamumunuan ng organisasyong ito. The views and opinions expressed in this live report are those of the presenter and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the management of this organization. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Editorial. Today is Monday, February 21, 2022. I am Carlos Miguel Kanahashi, and for our technicals together with me is Lady Jane Eliazar Florese. And we're broadcasting simultaneously on InkluRadyo and to be uploaded on the next day on the Hands in Inclusion Philippines YouTube channel. We shall commence our presentation in just a moment, and we will be back after our commercials. Now this.
Para sa aking pamilya, para sa aking kapwa, at para sa bayan. Kahit mahirap, kahit masakit, mahal ko kayong lahat. Kahit anong mangyari, ikaw, ako, tayo. Ating isisigaw sa mundo. Inklusibong may tatak, angat buhay, itatahak. Matapang pa rin tayo. Ang tropa, hindi nang iiwan. Ang senyas, isang instrumento. Ilang beses matumba, tayo huling baba. Luman ang ating pinagalingan. Tayo ay muling liliwan. Para sa pangarap, para sa pamilya, at para sa bayan. Tayo ang ida. Tuloy ang inclusion.
Okay, welcome back to our editorial episode for this day. Miss Lady Jane, can you activate the share screen, please? Okay, so welcome back to editorial. For this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, we will be discussing to you about what is Down syndrome. Next slide, please. Okay, so before we get to our presentation, let us know, I will give you some questions. What is Down syndrome? What are the causes of Down syndrome? What are the symptoms? What are the complications? And how can we prevent Down syndrome? So without further ado, here now is our topic, Down syndrome. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so what is Down syndrome, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, Down syndrome, ladies and gentlemen, is a genetic disorder that is caused when abnormal cell division results in an extra full or partial copy of trisomy 21. This extra genetic material causes the developmental changes and physical features of Down syndrome. It varies in severity among individuals. It leads to developmental delays and lifelong intellectual disabilities. This is one of the most common genetic chromosomal disorder and the cause of learning disabilities in children. It has also caused medical abnormalities, including heart and gastrointestinal disorders. Better understanding of Down syndrome and early interventions can greatly increase the quality of life for children and adults with this disorder and help them live fulfilling lives. Next slide, please. Okay. What are the causes of Down syndrome? Human cells normally contain 23 pairs of chromosomes. One chromosome in each pair comes from your parents, your father, and your mother. It is done, ladies and gentlemen, because Down syndrome occurs when trisomy 21 occurs. These cell division abnormalities result in extra partial or full trisomy 21. This material is responsible for the problems of Down syndrome. Any one of the three genetic variations can cause Down syndrome are the following. Next slide, please. Okay, so the three types of Down syndrome or the causes. Ms. Lady Jane, can you next slide, please? Next slide, please. Okay, I'll explain this. We have three types: trisomy 21, mosaic Down syndrome, and translocation Down syndrome. I will explain this to you one by one. In trisomy 21, ladies and gentlemen, it is caused by trisomy 21. The person has three copies of chromosome 21. This is caused by the abnormal cell division during the development of the sperm cell. In the mosaic Down syndrome, a person has only some cells with an extra copy of chromosome 21. This mosaic of normal and abnormal cells is caused by abnormal cell division after fertilization. Translocation Down syndrome occurs when a portion of chromosome 21 or trisomy 21 becomes translocated in another chromosome. These children have the usual two copies of chromosome 21, but they also have additional genetic material from chromosome 21 attached to another chromosome. There are no known behavioral or environmental factors that cause Down syndrome. Next slide, please. So I have a question in the next slide. Is it inherited? Let's find out on the next slide. Miss Lady Jane, next slide, please. Is it inherited? Most of the time, ladies and gentlemen, Down syndrome isn't inherited. Why? Because it is caused by a mistake in cell division during early development of the fetus. Translocation Down syndrome can be passed from the parent to the child. However, only about 3 to 4% of children with Down syndrome have translocation, and only some of them are inherited it from one of their parents. When balanced translocations are inherited, the parents have some rearranged genetic material from chromosome 21 on another chromosome, but no extra genetic material. This means he or she has no signs or symptoms of Down syndrome. but can pass an unbalanced transmission onto children, causing Down syndrome in the children. Next slide. In this slide, ladies and gentlemen, risk factors of Down syndrome can depend on and include the following: advanced maternal age, being carriers, and having one child. In advancing maternal age, the woman's chances of having a Down of giving birth to a child with Down syndrome can increase because older eggs have a greater risk of improper chromosome division. Both men and women can pass the genetic association for Down syndrome on to their children. Having had one child with Down syndrome, parents who have one child with Down syndrome and parents who have a translocation themselves are at an increased risk of having another child with Down syndrome. It can help parents assess the risk of having a second child with Down syndrome. Next slide, please. Miss Lady Jane. In life expectancy, lifespans have increased dramatically for people with Down syndrome. Today, someone with Down syndrome can expect to live more than 60 years, depending on the health problems, if it's severe, ladies and gentlemen. Next slide, please. My question in the next slide. What are the symptoms of Down syndrome? Next slide, please. Miss Lady Jane. Okay, yan. What are the symptoms of Down syndrome? Each person with Down syndrome is an individual. It can be mild, moderate, and severe. Some people are healthy while others have significant health problems such as serious heart defects. Children and adults with Down syndrome have facial features. The common features are flattened face, small head, short neck, protruding tongue, upward slanting eyelids, unusually shaped ears, poor muscle tone, broad, short hands, relatively short fingers and small hands in the feet, excessive flexibility, brush-filled spots, and short height. Next slide, please. Miss Lady Jane. Next slide, please. Infants with Down syndrome may be average. Why, ladies and gentlemen? It's because it typically depends on how they grow slowly and remain shorter than other children in the same age. In intellectual disabilities, most children with Down syndrome have mild to moderate cognitive impairment. Language is delayed and both short and long-term memory is affected. Next slide, please. In the next slide, we'll discuss about what are the complications of Down syndrome. Next slide, please. So people with Down syndrome can have a variety of complications, some of which become more prominent as they get older. These complications include the following. Next slide, please. Miss Lady Jane. Let's enumerate those. Heart defects, gastrointestinal defects, immune disorders, sleep apnea, obesity, spinal problems, leukemia, dementia, and other problems. We will explain this one by one in the next slide. Lady Jane, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. In heart defects, these can be life-threatening and may require surgery. They are born with some type of congenital heart defect. In gastrointestinal defects, it can lead to the abnormalities of the intestines, esophagus, trachea, and the anus. The risk of developing digestive problems may be increased. In immune disorders, people with Down syndrome are at increased risk of developing autoimmune disorders, some forms of cancer, and infectious diseases such as pneumonia. Next slide, please. In sleep apnea, children and adults with Down syndrome are at greater risk because of soft tissue and skeletal changes that leads to the obstruction of their airways. Obesity occurs when people with Down syndrome have a greater tendency to be obese compared with the general population. In spinal problems, some people with Down syndrome may have a misalignment of the top two vertebrae in the neck. It, it can lead to serious injury to the spinal cord from overextension of the neck. Next slide, please. Leukemia. Young children with Down syndrome have an increased risk of leukemia. Dementia is occurred when people with Down syndrome have a greatly increased risk of dementia. It can increase the risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. And other problems, Down syndrome may be associated with endocrine problems, dental problems, seizures, ear infections, and hearing and vision problems. For people with Down syndrome, getting medical care and treating issues when needed can help us maintain a healthy lifestyle, especially people with Down syndrome. Next slide, please. There's no way to prevent Down syndrome. If you are high risk of having a child with Down syndrome or you already had one child, you may want to consult a genetic counselor before becoming pregnant. A genetic counselor can help you understand the chances of having a child with Down syndrome. He or she can also explain the prenatal tests that are available and help to explain the pros and cons of testing. Next slide, please. As we close our topic, in summary, in a nutshell, Down syndrome is a genetic disorder caused by the presence of all or part of the third copy of chromosome 21. It is typically associated with physical growth delays, characteristic facial features, and mild to moderate intellectual disability. The average IQ of a young adult with Down syndrome is 50, equivalent to the mental age of an 8 or 9-year-old child, but this number varies widely. Down syndrome is the most common chromosome abnormality in humans, occurring in about 1 per 1,000 babies born each year. And as we end, Down syndrome, in Down syndrome, ladies and gentlemen, Down syndrome happens when there is an extra chromosome of the 21st pair of chromosomes. Okay, that concludes our topic. Next slide, please. Now is the time for our election 2022 updates. COMELEC drops face shield requirement in the new normal manual. COMELEC is no longer requiring the use of face shields in areas under alert levels 1, 2, and 3 and for the upcoming May elections. It's voluntary in areas under alert level 1, 2, and 3. Voters are mandated to wear face masks and to observe other minimum public health protocols on the day of the election. Voters will also undergo non-contact temperature check upon entering the polling places. Those with a temperature of 37.5 degrees Celsius must be brought to a medical personnel on standby. If they have fever, they can be brought to the isolated polling place to vote. After the elections, the Board of Canvassers shall strictly follow and implement minimum public health standards. They also ensure that the total number of people inside the canvassing venue does not exceed the operational capacity. COMELEC has put in place a stricter campaign and election guidelines as Filipinos elect their leaders for the first time under a pandemic situation. And here goes now with our election 2022 updates. Our next part of our show, next slide please, is getting to know our candidates for the May 9, 2022 elections, entitled Sino Ka? Know Your Candidates in the May 9, 2022 national elections. Next slide, please. Our featured candidate for our episode for this day is Lauren Legarda. She's running for senator this year in the May 9, 2022 elections. She was used to be a journalist wherein she worked in RPN and ABS-CBN. And then she was the Senator of the Philippines from 1998 to 2004 and again from 2007 to 2019. She was the member of the House of Representatives representing the Lone District of Antique and the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives. She has attended her elementary and high school studies in Assumption College. She is a 1981 graduate of the University of the Philippines with a bachelor's degree in broadcast communications, and she pursued postgraduate courses in the University of California in Los Angeles, in the US. Let's vote for Lauren Legarda in our ballots in the May 9, 2022 elections. Let's vote wisely. Next slide, please. We will have some very important announcements. Lady Jane, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. So here are some of our very important announcements. Next slide, please. Okay, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, as part of our efforts in supporting our organization, we urge everyone to purchase our products in the Hands in Inclusion Philippines online shop, especially for those who are watching and for those who are supporting us. Here are the products sold in our Hands in Inclusion Philippines online shop, ladies and gentlemen. Our One Inclusion Nation t-shirts, available in red, black, blue, white, and yellow. All sizes were 275 pesos. For the Talano Gold colored One Inclusion Nation t-shirts, sizes are ranged between small to XL and prices are ranged between 325 to 350 pesos. It's available for the Talano Gold colored One Inclusion Nation t-shirts. It's available on a limited time only. For our One Inclusion Nation tote bags, is available in white and black. Sizes are ranged between medium to large and prices are ranged between 150 to 200 pesos. So how can you order there? Well, first of all, we'll be very strict on payments. Payment first before purchase. I repeat, payment first before purchase. And we're accepting payments from GCash and we will deliver your ordered products via GoGo Express and LBC for our courier providers. Next slide, please. Okay, so regarding the advisory of the online shop, the Hands in Inclusion Philippines online store is temporarily closed for areas under Alert Level 5, but it will continue to serve in areas under Alert Level 1, 2, 3, and 4 only. Its operating hours are from 12 midnight to 11:59 in the evening. For a full list of orders, please visit the Hands in Inclusion Philippines Facebook page or email us at handsin.inclusion@gmail.com. Next slide, please. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, as part of our continuing efforts in supporting our organization, ladies and gentlemen, we at Hands in Inclusion Philippines needs your help, ladies and gentlemen. So to be honest, many of us have already been struggling with our financial problems in our organization. Sa totoo lang, ladies and gentlemen, karamihan sa atin ay nagkakaproblema sa ating mga pinansyal. So, ito'y bilang bahagi ito sa ating pagtulong sa atin dito sa organisasyong ito. Okay. So, regardless, no matter what, it doesn't really matter if the amount is smaller or larger. It will be appreciated for you guys to donate to Hands in Inclusion Philippines as well. So how can you do this? Scan and donate using GCash on this QR code that is flashed on your screen. And also, if you want to do the Barya para sa Inclusion fundraising project, you may use like these, or what we call as coin banks or alcanchas, and you may put any amount of your choice, and you may donate it using your Union Bank accounts. Ladies and gentlemen. And ladies and gentlemen, this will also be using this for our payment methods in the online shop. So ladies and gentlemen, what are you waiting for? Please, please, and please lang. Please continue to support Hands in Inclusion Philippines as well. How? Purchasing our products in the online shop and for your donations as well. Please help Hands in Inclusion Philippines for its fundraising project. Please help Hands in Inclusion Philippines for its fundraising project. We're aiming to raise funds in our organization. Let us have the time to rebuild in order for us to have a bigger, better, and a bolder Hands in Inclusion Philippines. Proceeds from the sales from the online shop and for the t-shirts and tote bags and your donations will go to us here in Hands in Inclusion for the formality, for the expenses, as well as the financial aid of the members due to the effects of this trying time. So guys, for those who did this, you'll be glad you did. And thank you also for your continuous generosity and for your support to the organization in advance. Next slide, please. So if you have any problems with your computer, your laptop, your desktop computer, your cell phones, your tablet, regardless if it's a Windows, an Apple, Android, or iOS, then you may message or contact Sir Mark Betita on Mark PC Laptop Repair Services. You may contact him through his Facebook. You may message him at Mark Paulo Betita on Facebook. And you may contact him at 0947-355-4759. And he'll be happy to assist you with your problems with your computer, your laptop, or your desktop computer as well. Next slide, please. Actually, we have one more event coming up for the month of February in Best Buddies Philippines. So we have Ice Cream Social at 4 p.m. on our Best Buddies Philippines Saturday series of learning. And then after February 26th, stand by for some of the calendar of events for the month of March in Best Buddies Philippines, including as well as the Spread the Word inclusion will be between Best Buddies Philippines and the University of Santo Tomas. Abangan nyo yan. If you want to join February 26th, Best Buddies Philippines Saturday Series and the other events for March, Follow Best Buddies Philippines on Facebook and Instagram. Send them a message and they will send you the registration form and the link as well. In Best Buddies Philippines, make a friend, be a friend. Next slide, please. Okay. Next slide, please. Miss Lady Jane. Okay, so we urge everyone to continue supporting Project Sold Out. We'd like to thank Hiraya Gallery, Special Achievers, and the partner organizations for making this event possible. So if you want to check this out, please check on the Special Achievers Facebook page as well. Next slide, please. Okay. Okay. So, guys, if you're feeling hungry, especially for your birthday, for your other occasions, as well as for your breakfast, lunch, merienda, or dinner, if you're feeling hungry, then we want to order some of the foods from the Sobra Comfort Food Restaurant and the Kuya Korea Restaurant. For the Sobra Comfort Food Restaurant, the menus are for an all-day breakfast, tapa sobra, chicken tocino, corned beef brisket, homemade spam, and beef salpicao. So, sizes are ranged between solo to large and prices are ranged between 265 pesos to 1,450 pesos. Next slide, please. Miss Lady Jane. Also, for the rice trays, we have beef bulgogi, beef shawarma, beef gyudon, pork crackling bits, pork belly burnt, and stir chicken, and boneless fried chicken. Sizes are ranged between solo to large, and prices are ranged between 265 pesos to 1,700 pesos. Next slide, please. For our sandwiches, we have the fried chicken sandwiches, pulled pro sandwich, corned beef sandwich, and chicken tocino sandwich. Sizes are ranged between regular, large, solo, and box of course, and prices are ranged between 320 pesos to 1,540 pesos. Next slide, please. For our pasta, we have mac and cheese and penne and gorgonzola. Sizes are ranged between solo to large and prices are ranged between 290 pesos to 1,350 pesos. Next slide, please. How to order there? Head over to the Sobra Comfort Food website, select the dishes you want to order, choose between pick up or delivery, pay conveniently through any of the safe integrated payment methods, and your order is confirmed. Expect updates via text or email. Next slide, please. Also, if you want to crave for something Korean, then you want to order some of the foods from the Kuya Korea restaurant. For the Kuya Korea restaurant, for our rice bowls, we have beef bibimbap, beef bulgogi, pork samgyup, and K-pop chicken. Prices are range between 195 to 220 pesos. For our chicken, for the boneless popcorn chicken, sizes are ranged between half to whole and prices are ranged between 235 to 435 pesos. For the flavors of gochuk, ganjang, chicken, and K-buffalo. So if you want to order there, please check the Kuya Korea website for your orders as well. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. So lastly, back to the previous slide, please. Before we head over to our greetings, lastly, follow Hansen Inclusion Philippines on our social media pages and its digital platforms as well. It would be appreciated for you guys to do this as early as now. Follow us on Facebook, Hansen Inclusion PH, InkluRadio, InkluSports, InkluNihan, and the online shop. Instagram, Hansen Inclusion PH, Kumu, HNI Philippines, and subscribe to the Hansen Inclusion Philippines YouTube channel and follow us again on Twitter at HNI Philippines. So guys, for those who did this, thank you very much as well. Next slide, please. At ngayon, but let us have our greetings and shout-outs. Shout-outs to Sir Mark Betita. Good evening to you. Thank you for watching. To those who are celebrating their birthdays, I'd like to greet happy birthday to Ina Catalina Nava and Earl Roy de Jesus. Happy birthday and expect the more birthdays to come. And to others, for those who are celebrating their birthdays today, happy birthday and expect the more birthdays to come. To those who are celebrating their anniversaries, happy anniversary as well. Shout outs and greetings to my family, to Hansen Inclusion Philippines, to Best Buddies Philippines, Best Buddies Benilde, and other PWD organizations, and also to my high school and college friends as well. To those who are watching, it may be a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening wherever you are in the world. I hope you guys are in a good mood, but if not, you may use this time to improve on your mental health or your well being as well. To those who are watching us on InkluRadio, thank you very much as well. And if you missed this episode, it will be premiered on the next day on the Hands in Inclusion Philippines YouTube channel for your viewing pleasure. Next slide, please. Before we go, I would like to share with you a quote for the day from Andrew Solomon. Kids with Down syndrome are by and large quite affectionate and relatively guileless, and frequently the attachments to them grow and deepen, and the meaning that parents find in it grows and deepens. Okay, Miss Lady Jane, can you disable the share screen, please? And on cam, please, as we wrap up our show. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys learned something a lot. And again, for those who are watching us on InkluRadio, thank you very much as well. And if you want to watch us again, it will be premiered on the next day on the Hands Inclusion Philippines YouTube channel. Okay, that's a wrap for the editorial episode for Monday, February 21st, 2022. I will see you again on Wednesday at the same time at 5:30 in the afternoon for the editorial Wednesday edition. On behalf of InkluRadio and Hands in Inclusion Philippines, I am your host, Carlos Miguel Kanahashi, and together with me, our technicals is Miss Lady Jane Eliasar Florese. Miss Lady Jane, you're my, please, let's say this together. May awa ang Diyos, makakaraos po tayo. Sama-sama tayong lalaban para sa pangarap, pamilya at bayan hanggang sa ating tatak para sa One Inclusion Nation. Muli, magandang gabi at pagpalain nawa tayo ng buong may kapal. May the mighty God bless us all. Pilipinas, God first. HNI, God first. Thank you very much for watching. Have a blessed evening to all and a goodbye for now. Bye-bye. Thank you, Lady Jane, sa oras mo. Thank you for your time.